We've already discussed the impact on consumers' choices of two goods when the price of a good changes using indifference curves and budget constraints. But there are useful ways to decompose, if you will, those effects that isolate the impact of different parts of the phenomenon. And let me just give you a sense of these two general concepts of substitution and income effects, and then we'll look at this in more detail. So on the one hand, if the price of a good drops, you're going to tend to want to buy more of that good because it's cheaper, and so you'll substitute away from the other good into the one whose price has fallen. Okay, so that's one effect. But there's another effect that's going on in that when the price of a good falls, your effective income, your purchasing power has changed, your income has gone up, in effect, and then you might choose to consume more of the other good because you've got more effective income. So we're going to formalize these ideas of substitution and income effects using this set of indifference curves and budget constraints when we're looking at the choice between going to hear live music at a concert or potentially going to a movie. And we're going to do this in the context of the price of movies dropping for some reason. And so let's say that we're looking at the decision of a consumer, and that at the original prices they consume 5 units they go to 5 concerts and 3 movies over some period of time at the initial prices and the initial income. Then the price of movies drops, which will rotate the budget constraint towards this red line. You could buy more movies or go to more movies with a cheaper ticket price. It doesn't change the amount of concerts that you can go to, but it does change the movies, and your budget constraint rotates out, and you are going to consume a new number of concerts, C1, for, oops, let me rewrite this. So this is the initial level of movies, and this is the new level of movies. So what you see here is that when the price of movies goes down, you're actually consuming more concerts. You're going to more concerts. You're indeed going to more movies, but you also have this effect of increased attendance to the concerts, and that's where you have some of these effects that we want to decompose. Okay, so here's what we do. I'm going to use a handy prop for the one and only time in these lectures. So here's what we're going to do to isolate first the substitution effect. What we want to do is to take away the increase in income that is implied by the lowering prices, and then consider what the effect of the change in the price is alone when we maintain the same level of initial utility. Same indifference curve. So here's what we're going to do. Okay, so this red line is the slope of that red line is the new relative prices of goods. And what we're going to do is we're going to shift this back to where we're now just tangent to the original utility, the indifference curve. Okay, and that is going to be, let's say, at four and 4. So again, let's make sure we understand what we're doing here. we're taking away the increase in the effective income, but allowing consumers to make a decision about what to buy at the new relative prices. So once again, we've got this new budget constraint. We're going to keep that, those relative prices the same, and then we're going to pull it back until the point where the new budget, this new notional budget constraint, is tangent to the initial indifference curve. And so what we see is that in terms of the changing prices alone, we would increase the consumption of movies from 3 to 4, but we would decrease concerts that you go to by 1 unit. Okay, the substitution effect, the change in the price, is going to substitute consumers away from concerts to go into movies. Okay, so that's the substitution effect. Now we're going to take that same set, and I probably should draw this budget constraint in here. This does get indeed kind of messy, but need to have it. Now this budget constraint that I'm drawing here is one that is actually never really faced by the consumer. They don't have this drop in income at the same relative prices, but it allows you to decompose these ideas in your head. Okay, now we're going to say, all right, let's have these change in relative prices, and now let's allow the income to go up to get to this new indifference curve. Okay, so we shift up to the new indifference curve, and so you now have an income effect. So let's write this down. For movies, the substitution effect is +1. Okay, you'll increase the going to a movies by 1 unit, and for concerts, in this example, you went from 5 to 4 -1. The income effects for movies, okay, we're going to start with the 4 units, and the increase in income gets you up to 5 units, so it's +1, and that increase in income gets you from C3 up to C2 +2 for concerts. And if you look at the combination of these two effects, what is the overall effect? So when we add up the movie effects, both the substitution and income effects, okay, the overall impact for movies is +1 +1, an increase in 2, and for concerts, -1 +2. So when you have the change in the price for the one good, when you take into account both the substitution and income effects, we're going to increase movie consumption by 2 units, concerts by 1. And again, that was the initial change. Okay, again, looking here and here, M0 is the initial consumption of movies. M1 is the final new consumption of movies. It's +2. Concerts, you go from 5 to 6, so you increase by 1. So this idea of income and substitution effects allows you to sort of separate different effects that may occur. And so, for example, if goods are inferior goods, that when you get higher income, you consume less of it, you would see that reflected in the income effects if you were to do this sort of graphical analysis.